welcome to Rise with India. I am Priyanka Uppal.
And I am Ankita Saxena.
And for next half hour, we take you through the stories that are shaping India's rise to the top. So without further delay, let's take you through all the news that made headlines this week.
Beating analyst expectations, India's gross domestic product grew at 7.8% in the last quarter of FY24. Further, the centre now estimates the overall growth rate of FY24 to be 8.2%.
In rare move, global rating agency S&P has revised India's economic outlook to positive from the previous stable rating. S&P has also maintained India's overall rating at BBB. This is the first outlook revision for the country by S&P, which is part of the so-called Big Three credit rating agencies. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman also tweeted, saying the rating decision reflects the solid growth performance and promising economic outlook for the coming year.
Propelled by a sharp acceleration in service activity, India's business activity expanded at the third strongest rate in nearly 14 years. The HSBC Flash India Composite Output Index, or the Flash PMI, rose to 61.7 in the month of May from 61.5 in the month of April.
Filmmaker Payal Kapadia created history by becoming the first Indian to clinch the prestigious Grand Prix at the 77th Cannes Film Festival, the second highest prize after Palme d'Or for her film All We Imagine as Life. It is the first Indian movie in 3 decades to compete in Cannes' main competition.
An 18-year-old grandmaster, Ramesh Babu Pragnanda, registered his first ever classical win over world number 1 Magnus Carlsen in the third round of the Norway chess tournament. Well, now it's time for the top story of the week. Well, India's manufacturing wheel is taking a turn. Well, earlier, India was known for its textiles and IT, but now, with the China Plus One approach, companies are turning to India as a viable alternative for diversifying their manufacturing base.
A decade ago, India's manufacturing sector's contribution to overall GDP was 15%, which in 2023 has expanded to 17%. On the contrary, China, which has the highest contribution ratio of manufacturing to GDP, was at 43% in year 2014, which has fallen down to 38% in 2023.
And well, to understand this growth in India's manufacturing story and the future ahead, we are joined by our Editor-in-Chief, Nikunj Dalmia. So Nikunj, over the past few years, India has witnessed a drastic shift in the manufacturing space. You know, if you look at traditionally, India is known for its IT, textile, but over the last few decades, we have completely, had a rather diversified portfolio as far as our manufacturing is concerned. Now, a couple of things happening there. Government incentives are there, PLI, in the form of PLI schemes or fiscal stimulus. Make in India is gaining more and more momentum. What is the next leg of growth? Where is this growth headed?
So if you talk about RWI, which is Rise with India, that is the true Rise with India moment. Now you may say that the penny drop moment happened after COVID. That's the time when Prime Minister came out and spoke about Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is self-reliant India. India was not self-reliant. We were importing from shoes to sports gear to laptops to just about every mobile phone. But COVID actually gave you this realization that you need to be self-sufficient, which is called Atmanirbhar. But can you also become the back office, or you are the back office in IT, but can you really be the factory of the world? So Prime Minister spoke about Atmanirbhar Bharat, but made in India for the world. The message was very simple, that make India self-reliant, but make India capable so that they can also export and they can also really become the factory of the world. Now, there are a couple of changes which happened. One, the global supply chain got reoriented. The over-dependence on China as the only large supplier for every MNC and every major company became an issue because China, in a sense, went into a shutdown mode. Second, the government realized that, look, if you want to grow the manufacturing sector, you have to, in a sense, change the laws. You have to make the industry more competitive. See, entrepreneurs, they will only come when there is a visible viability of any project. Why was manufacturing not growing in India? Because China was much big in terms of size, scale, and also in terms of cost of production. So was that fixed? Well, to some extent, it has been fixed both at the state level and also at the central level with PLI schemes and other initiatives which have been given to big manufacturing companies. Third most important, I think, is that you must recognize that India, in a sense, has a lot of skill and a lot of design capability. See, why has India done well in IT? Because we've got a large English-speaking language, young population who can code. Similarly, we got a large, I would say, large talent pool of mechanical engineers, large talent pool of skilled laborers. You add that up, you realize that there was skill and there was capability, and then the government push gave it size. So suddenly the wheel now seems to be shifting. We are nowhere close to what magical number China has. But my sense is that the growth numbers what we have in manufacturing are only going to accelerate. The number in India was less than 20%.
It was 15% 10 years back.
15%, right? Can it go to 25? If it grows to 25, then you're actually looking at a very large change which is happening.
Sure.
Now, from, once Uday Kotak had tweeted that while we are celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi, guess what? The Ganesha who we are worshipping in house is actually coming from China. So that is where the Indian manufacturing sector was. We were just not efficient. From Christmas caps to the Ganesha idol, everything was imported in India. From the mobile phones we used to the TV which we consumed or TV which we use in a house, everything was important. So that seems to be changing. And that, I think, is the biggest delta which the economy, in a sense, would be enjoying now. And the benefits of they're going to be far-reaching. See, when a large sector moves, Ankita, it will have its entire impact. And I think that is what is happening. Why are we calling this the Renaissance moment? What is Renaissance? A Renaissance was something when changes happened in Europe during 1400th century and 1500th century in the area of art and culture, drama and theatre. And that, in a sense, changed the cultural history of Europe. So this is India's manufacturing era, a Renaissance moment, which could change the entire manufacturing culture in India.
So when you talk about manufacturing culture getting changed over the time and of course manufacturing sector's contribution in overall GDP also expanding, so out of this entire manufacturing basket, which industry you think is going to contribute the most? Right now the EMS electronic is what is coming at the top.
See, there are some low-hanging fruits and there are some obvious beneficiaries. So what is the low-hanging fruit? The low-hanging fruit right now is EMS. Why EMS? Because globally all companies, whether Samsung, whether it is Apple, all of them, they've come to India. They've almost got like a red carpet welcome, and the red carpet was laid right in a very quick time. The red carpet was rolled out in a very quick time. So they are coming to India. They are getting the government tax initiatives. They are enjoying the benefits of the tax initiative. They have got very fast clearances. Plus, electronic manufacturing is not very complex. It is something which requires systems, processes, large participation coming from women workforce, and a little bit of skilled labor. So I think it's the low-hanging fruit. It's not a very high margin business, but that will grow. Then you come to the complexities. And this is where I think India is now scoring, because semiconductor plants are coming in India. I think a couple of plants have been signed and a couple of more plants are coming. So from simple manufacturing, which is, let's say, assembling a mobile phone. See, assembling a mobile phone is not very complex. It requires a little bit of skilled labor, but a lot of dedicated workforce. You're moving into semiconductor, which is very, very complex. And in India, in world also, semiconductors are dominated only by Taiwan.
Yeah,
and
Asia
some
Pacific
South
region
Korea.
majorly.
It's only US after COVID has started their manufacturing units. So you're moving to complex. Third, I would say that niche engineering is another area where you would be able to score. See, we are very big in autos. Indian cars and Indian motorcycles and Indian two-wheelers, they reach to the length and the breadth of the world. So that's another third area. Where I think you will still struggle is in the area of textile, because you are not being able to scale up. You will still struggle in areas of large-scale manufacturing. You will still struggle in areas where you have to compete with China on price, not on quality. When it comes to basic, when it comes to a little bit of patent, and when it comes to a skill expertise in complex manufacturing, I think India is right up.
All right, so and that happens to be like sunrise industry will of course get benefited out of it. Thank you so much, Nikunj, for.
And here's to the Renaissance manufacturing moment of India. With that, it's time for us to slip into a short break. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
welcome back. You're tuned into RWI. When we speak of India's growth story, how can the startup space be unleft? More and more startups are working to make India their domicile, although the process is a long, tedious and expensive one. Many startups are gearing themselves to return to India. To get more perspective on this, we are joined by our colleague Sumita Kharir. Sumita, give us more details on this.
Startups doing Ghar Wapsi. Well, if there's one story that's developing in the startup ecosystem, it is this. After PhonePe, Grow and Pine Labs, quick commerce firm Zepto, B2B trade platform Udaan and digital payments firm Razorpay reportedly have all been considering Ghar Wapsi or are in the process to initiate the same, to reverse flip to India, to come back to India. These firms set up a bases abroad for tax benefits and to perhaps get easier access to funding in those geographies. But the question is, why are they now considering Ghar Wapsi or reverse flipping? Number one, India is the third largest startup ecosystem in the world with supportive government policies. Number two, those who are looking to get listed here can get better valuations on IPOing. Number three, there is increased scrutiny, especially for fintech companies, and hence there is an urgency to comply with government regulations as far as user rules are concerned. Next up is ease of business, and sometimes there could be possible tax gain for government as well. I'll give you an instance of PhonePe, which led to gains of $1 billion in tax gains for the government. But then it's a difficult road ahead for startups that are looking to move back, considering it's fraught with challenges like costs. It can be very expensive to move back to India to do a reverse flip. It can also take typically 9 to 36 months, and that's really dependent on the complexity of the group structuring, tax considerations, regulatory approvals, compliance issues that the startup really operates in. PhonePe, for instance, has had to pay close to 8,000 crores just in taxes to come back to India. Then there could be legal and tax friction amongst geographies as well, considering that you're moving ownership structures. A country may ask for taxes considering that you made benefits out of operating in that country. Hence, two of the most followed ways that startups usually engage in to do a reverse flip include share swaps and inbound mergers, but then they have their own set of complications, etc. But nevertheless, it is definitely a good time to operate out of India, to operate out of this country, given the support that the government is giving to new age businesses, to new businesses, and to, of course, startups.
All right, Sumita, thank you so much for giving us more perspective on that story. But it is that time of the show where we get to you an interaction with our RWI champion. And this time we have someone who has set the world record straight with the highest numbers of joint surgeries. He's also saved some 70 to 80,000 lives during COVID.
He's not just a surgeon, but also a successful entrepreneur. At the helm of Shalby Hospital, we are speaking to Dr. Vikram Shah today.
Dr. Vikram Shah is the founder, chairman and managing director of Shalby Hospitals, a chain of 16 hospitals present across 7 states and 12 cities. With more than 30 years of experience and 1.5 lakh successful joint replacement surgeries to his credit.
Dr. Shah is recognized as a world-renowned joint replacement surgeon and a visionary healthcare entrepreneur. Under his able leadership, Shalby Hospitals has been performing around 15,000 joint replacement surgeries a year, which is amongst the highest in the world. In year 2008, he created a world record by performing 3,000 joint replacement surgeries.
Hi, Dr. Shah. Welcome to Rise with India. It's a pleasure to have you on the show as a Rise with India champion. Dr. Shah, tell us, you're a pioneer in knee surgeries, knee replacement surgeries. You know, knee surgeries is much more simple, affordable and more effective now than it was perhaps 10 years back. Now, what can we attribute this to? It's probably the technological advancement, the way science and medicine has progressed, or is it that people have also, accepted the fact that this is going to be the way of life and there is more acceptance towards it?
First of all, let me tell you that knee replacement surgery and hip replacement surgeries are happening in Western world since last 1980s. And it was being routinely done there, and it came a couple of decades late here. It became popular in 90s rather than 70s and 80s. So when I came back from US and UK, quite a few surgeons from UK and USA came back to India and started their work. So what was lacking here in India at a given time was the training of surgeons to do these high-end surgeries. So quite a few people went away, trained themselves and came back, and they started in various parts of India. Now, having said this surgery was quite difficult surgery at a given time because of non-availability of implant and non-availability of instruments. But in '94, when government opened up Indian economy, we started getting India good imported implants and instruments both, because India was not manufacturing at that time. And once they were available, we started doing it here in India. At that time, the surgery itself was taking 2 hours to 3 hours. Either it is knee replacement or hip replacement. Patient used to stay in hospital for 10 to 15 days. Patient used to start walking after 3 days. Things have changed so much now with technology, with increasing skill of surgeons, better system and processes, that patients are able to walk within couple of hours of surgery. Patient is able to go on staircase next day, and within 3 days, patients are able to go home and fully recover doing their day-to-day home activity by their own. So what was lacking was implant, instrumentation, training, skill, and untrained paramedical staff, because they did not know what is this.
Also, Dr. Shah, tell us that what is the reason that knee problem is on such a rise in country like India? Is it our food? Is it the lifestyle issues? Or is it genetics?
Well, there are 3-4 things to this. First of all, human being is the only animal in the world which walks on 2 legs. So we have adopted upright stance since last million years, which all other animals were walking on are walking on 4 legs. So we have started using our hands more useful way, and we are more proper in a lifestyle because we are using hand properly. Other animals are not able to use their hands; they have to use their mouth. Now, with this adaptation of posture, your spine is vertical now, which was up in the other animals. So when your spine is vertical, it is taking load now. All your other joints are taking load, which was divided between 4 legs are now on 2 legs. So arthritis, spine problem, these are all problems, not disease, but problems because of adapting upright posture. So that is number one. Number two, in India particularly, we Indians have a poor quality of food, even if we are rich, because we eat a lot of carbohydrates. Our food doesn't contain proper amount of proteins, proper amount of salads, vegetables, fruits. So we largely carb eaters, and that is another problem. Third thing is our expectancy of life at the time of independence was nearly 45 to 47 years. So before you start having problems of old age, you die. Now our average lifespan in India has increased to 75, 72 years. So you start getting problem of old age like cataract, osteoarthritis, knee, etc. And the last thing is osteoporosis and osteomalacia. Our Indians do start getting deterioration of bone quality at a later age, and we are prone to fracture and arthritis both.
Also, Dr. Shah, tell us, what is the reason behind the majority of knee replacement patients opting for robot-assisted surgeries, and what is going to be the future of this industry?
When you are doing surgeries in a closed environment like a brain surgery or a prostate surgery, the robot is useful. Now, I want to go back a little bit more. surgeon's skill is of paramount importance. Then comes instruments, implants, or robot. If you give an inexperienced surgeon a best robot in the world, he will mess up. So first of all, we need to understand that surgeon skill is the most important thing. I was asked this question once, and then what I answered, I will answer here. That surgeon passes through 4 stages in life during his career. The first stage, when he operates with a cortical brain, where he is thinking constantly and operating. So he's perspiring, he's getting tired, he's taking long time, he's taking advice of his assistant. Quite a few surgeons go to next step when they start doing surgery regularly, where unconscious mind operates, where he doesn't have to think much and operate. Then the music is on in the OT, he's not shouting at the staff. The third stage comes to 10% of the surgeons, when the surgery comes at a spinal level, where he never thinks about surgery or a surgeon. He is able to do surgery effortlessly and he is not tired at the end of the surgery. But the last stage comes to 1 in 10,000 surgeons, when surgery comes to hand and it ceases to be science and becomes an art. So it is like Michelangelo drawing something where he doesn't think and draw. So same way, some people reach to that level. So that is the level of skill. Now, when we talk about robot,
But Dr. Shah, is artificial intelligence going to expand in medical industry also? How much of do you think artificial intelligence will be utilized in orthopedic procedures going ahead? What is the future looking like?
yeah, I would put it in 2 parts. AI in diagnostic and AI in robotic surgery. AI in diagnostic is going to be wonderful all time because it will be having data and you will get results soon, and diagnostics, it will work fantastic very soon in couple of years. When it comes to robotics, it will work, but it will take time because we have to feed leading surgeon's mind and dexterity of his hand in that robot. That's not an easy task because whether you take treating fractures, treating joint replacement, or treating spines, everywhere, best of the surgeons, dexterity of the head and his thinking mind, we need to put it in AI, which would be definitely possible, but it is 5 to 10 years away from now.
All right, Dr. Shah, thank you so much for giving us your time. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. And well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Rise with India. We'll see you next week with some more interesting stories and a Rise with India champion.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.